Hello Slayers, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna get into season 4 of Outlander, my recap commentary. I literally just finished season 5. I'll talk about it come the time, of course. What I will say is, as I've mentioned, I really like seeing people's season rankings. It's just very interesting to me. And what I found was that season 4 was the lowest on a lot of people's. I have to say I disagree. It's kind of shocking too, because this is where the whole Brianna situation comes in and that whole thing. But I could also see people being annoyed of her character, and I will get there. But anyways, I just want to say that I decided that I'm going to continue these recaps till season 6, and then I'm going to react to Outlander season 7 here on my channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Blood of My Blood season 1, and then Outlander the final season 8, and then assuming all is well, the next season and on of the spin-off. So I think season 4 would have made for a good reaction. To me, so far, season 5 has probably been my least favorite, and I love this show. I'm loving every season. Just to me, season 5 felt like the slowest pace, and it was definitely the season that took me the longest to get through. I mean, my friends did come and stuff, so I couldn't watch it as much, but I also started rewatching it here and there with my sister, who is finally getting into it. She just finished season 1. She's on like season 2, episode 2. I'm worried she's gonna be a little bored with the Paris, France thing, but I think she's gonna be locked into the end, honestly. I guess I'll talk about this as it goes on, because I'm also like a little confused now what season is what. But I do have to say that overall, how do I am a bit disappointed in Brianna's character. I obviously get it. And not to the point where I don't like her, because I do. It's just everything that happened, I just would have thought would have been more smooth. I don't know. I didn't love the route the show took, and I would have assumed that I would like Brianna more than Roger, and I fucking love Roger. That's weird. Brianna is Jamie and Claire's daughter. I thought I was gonna love her so much, and I do, but we'll talk about it. All right, and I will be following Princess Plotline's recap. I will link her video in the description if you'd like to watch hers and then come back to mine. Make sure you subscribe to her. She's recapping Blood of My Blood, so you guys that are all up to date and just wanna I think her channel is a great one for that. Finally, if you're excited for me to make these reactions and recap commentaries, please give this a thumbs up. Comment below. Like I've asked every one, comment your season rankings below if you haven't already. And yeah, I just appreciate the comments, especially on this show, because I'm so obsessed right now and this is very new to my channel, so it's motivating me to keep going, sharing my journey with y'all.
The last time we saw Jamie and Claire, they had just washed up on the shores of Georgia after the Artemis was wrecked in a storm. Let's find out what season 4 of Outlander has in store for our favorite couple. We open in North America in the year 2000 BC. A group of people build fires and piles of rocks around a standing stone. Then they perform a ritual dance, eerily similar to the one Claire and Frank witnessed in season 1.
Yes.
Cut to North Carolina, 1767. 4 months have passed since the shipwreck. Jamie and Claire have been making their way up the coast, accompanied by young Ian, Fergus, Marsley, and Jamie's Ardsmere friends, Leslie and Hayes. But trouble finds them in Wilmington. Hayes has been arrested for murder and sentenced to hang. He asks one last favor from Jamie. He wants his face to be the last thing he looks upon before he dies. Jamie keeps it.
Fun fact, Wilmington is where they film a lot of shows. One Tree Hill was completely filmed there. So I just thought that was kind of interesting that that's the place that they used. There's also a few mentions of New Bern, and I've actually been to New Bern. One of my best friends live in New Bern, so that was beyond random for me.
His promise, smiling at Hayes until the final moment. But Leslie can't keep his cool, cursing at the authorities and causing a scene. In the chaos, the other condemned prisoners seize the moment to escape. That night, Jamie's group takes Hayes' body to be buried in consecrated ground. While digging the grave, Ian struggles with memories of his trauma at Galis Duncan's hands. Jamie encourages him to talk, as he believes it's the best way to let the pain out. And then, an unexpected surprise. One of the escaped prisoners has been hiding
That was really a touching scene between them, and the way that they could relate there was very interesting. Is this Bonnet?
next to Hayes' body. He introduces himself as Stephen Bonnet.
Yeah.
He politely asks Jamie for a ride to the river.
He is a very interesting villain. At this point, I'm trying to think. We do know him from him being the captain or whatever, right?
So he can avoid the soldiers. Jamie agrees to help him, and Claire goes with them to make things seem less suspicious. On the way, Bonnet shares his recurring nightmare of drowning, while Claire tells him about her 2 marriages and shows him her rings. At the river, they part ways. Before disappearing into the night, Bonnet warns them to be aware of thieves in the woods. Jamie and Claire set up camp under the stars and share another moment of intense intimacy. The next morning, Claire tells Jamie about America's future. North Carolina will be one of 50 states, full of people chasing the American dream. But at a terrible cost, Native Americans will be displaced and killed in great numbers. That evening, Jamie and Claire attend a fancy dinner where they find a buyer for a ruby they saved from the shipwreck, securing enough money to return to Scotland. They also meet Governor Tryon, who offers Jamie a land grant free of charge if he swears loyalty to the king. Jamie is tempted, but Claire reminds him the revolution is coming in 8 years. If he accepts, he'll be fighting for the British, and they'll lose. While they think it over, Jamie and Claire decide to visit Jamie's Aunt Jocasta at her estate called River Run. Ian and his new wolf dog Rollo will join them, and so will Leslie. But Fergus and Marsley choose to stay in Wilmington, as Marsley is pregnant and unable.
Spoiler or not, I love that we're 4 seasons in, I'm about to start 6, and we've never saw a horse die, bless. And when I saw this dog, I was like, no. And the dog is still dogging through the show. Please don't kill him.
To travel. On the journey, Jamie tells Claire more about Jocasta. She's blind but sharp-witted. She outlived 3 Cameron husbands and fled Scotland after the Rising. Then Jamie surprises Claire with a beautifully crafted doctor's kit for their 24th anniversary. Deeply moved, Claire tells him she's never regretted a single day of their marriage. They're both happy and full of hope for the future, but their happiness is short-lived. That night, Stephen Bonnet returns, this time with a gang of thugs. As America the Beautiful plays in the background, Jamie and Claire's American dream turns into a nightmare. Bonnet and his thugs kill Leslie, beat up Jamie, and steal everything they have, including one of Claire's wedding rings. After their traumatic encounter with Bonnet, Jamie and Claire arrive at River.
Messes me up. I'm pretty sure it was season 3. A scene that just keeps recurring in my mind is when Bonnet pushes that girl, I think it's a girl, off the boat because she's sick and he doesn't want to get sick. And then the mom jumps in. There's something about that is, I mean, obviously it's heartbreaking, but I feel like that was one of the crudest things. I mean, besides the essay things that happen, but there's something like I think about that so much. And Bonnet is so interesting in the sense of how Spike is so interesting from Buffy. I kept sort of thinking like, how can we humanize him or like get him to become good? And then I would just think of that kid part and other stuff to come and being like, there's no way to redeem his character defamation gone. I don't know if that's the word to use in this way. I don't know. There's no way. I can't explain it, but I just think the actor was really good. He's obviously like cute. If he wasn't evil, I almost feel like I would like him with Brianna. Of course not. Like I almost feel like I'd be happy with Roger with someone else too, which is crazy, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. That's a hot take, I think.
Where Jocasta welcomes them warmly. Grateful to have a trustworthy family member nearby, she invites Jamie to stay indefinitely and offers him the chance to manage River Run, even throwing a party to introduce him as her heir. But from the moment they step onto the plantation, Claire is deeply uncomfortable with the reality of slavery. Despite Jocasta's insistence that she treats her 152 slaves well, Claire isn't fooled. Jamie wonders if they could free the slaves, but Farquhar Campbell, the local judge, explains that doing so isn't just illegal, it's dangerous. Those who have tried before have disappeared without a trace. Before Jamie and Claire can decide their next move, a slave named Rufus attacks his overseer after a brutal whipping, and an angry mob is demanding his punishment. If Jamie and Claire help him escape, other slaves will be executed in his place. Left with no good options, they make a heartbreaking decision. They give Rufus poison tea, allowing him to pass peacefully before handing his body over to the mob. Suddenly, Governor Tryon's offer is starting to sound a lot more appealing. Jamie and Claire pack up and leave River Run. Their plan is to head to a town with Scottish settlers, where Jamie hopes to find work as a printer. Ian refuses to go back to Scotland, so he's coming along, and their new friend, John Quincy Myers, offers to guide them through the mountains. A little while later, Ian heads off with Myers to trade tobacco with a Native American tribe, while Jamie and Claire continue on alone. Claire worries that Jamie won't be happy as a printer, but he insists his choices aren't just about him anymore. He tells her he would lay the world at her feet, but he has nothing to give her. Then a storm rolls in. Their mule bolts in fear, and Claire chases after it, only to be thrown from her horse. When she wakes up, she's alone in the storm and takes shelter under a cluster of leaves. There, she finds a skull with a silver filling, an invention at least a century ahead of its time, meaning it must have belonged to another time traveler. She also discovers a gemstone. Suddenly, a ghostly Native American
I don't know if I caught that the first time.
Warrior appears, wearing the same gemstone and bearing the same wound as the skull. The next morning, Claire follows some blueprints, likely left by her ghostly guide, which lead her to Jamie. As they ride on, they come across wild strawberries, the Fraser clan emblem. Inspired, Jamie decides.
This is cool too. Sorry. I love how fantasy light this show is. Again, like I've talked about this, she time traveled, but it's still very much grounded in reality. That was the first time we had like a ghosty, supernatural type of thing. And I just feel like it was done well. And for the fact that it led her back to Jamie was just so sweet and cute, and it was just done well to like add the supernatural in without it being cheesy, in my opinion. And this scene where they're gonna build their house.
This is where they'll build their home, and he names it Fraser's Ridge. Meanwhile, in 1970, Roger sells his house to Fiona and her husband before heading to America. There, he reunites with Brianna, and they take a road trip.
I'm so excited to relive this through the recap, like their side. Ugh, there's such a journey ahead. I gotta do these as I finish them because, whoa, I feel like this was 20 seasons ago. It's literally just the last season.
To North Carolina for a Scottish festival where Roger is set to perform. Things are a little awkward at first, but before long, they're laughing, kissing, and fully embracing the Scottish traditions. Like Brianna is falling hard for Roger, and everything is going so well that he decides to propose, giving her a silver bracelet. He's already picturing their future together, but Bri is caught off guard. It's all moving way too fast for her. When she hesitates, Roger takes it badly. He lashes out, questions her feelings, and storms off. The next day, Bri admits she's not sure she even believes in marriage. Roger gives her an ultimatum, all of him or none of him. With no other choice, Bri decides to leave. Let's get back to Jamie, who secures a 10,000-acre land grant from Governor Tryon. He asks Fergus to recruit as many Highlanders as possible to settle on their land, especially those from Ardsmuir. And then he heads into the mountains with Claire and Ian. At Fraser's Ridge, they start mapping out boundaries, and Ian finds the perfect spot for their cabin. The Frasers get to work, cutting down trees, hauling logs, and shaping their future home. But soon, Cherokee warriors arrive and throw Jamie's boundary stakes at his feet, a clear sign that they're not welcome. Claire suggests moving further away from their land, but Jamie refuses. In his heart, he knows this is where they belong. Fortunately, he earns the Cherokees' trust by killing a rogue man wearing a bear hide who had been terrorizing the area. The man was once part of the Cherokee tribe, but was exiled for attacking a woman. As a sign of respect, the Cherokee chief names Jamie Bear Killer. Meanwhile, Claire meets the chief's grandmother Adawehi, a healer who predicts that Claire will have great power when her hair is white as snow. She also warns that death is sent by the gods, and it won't be Claire's fault. The Fraser healer who woman. As a sign of respect, the Cherokee chief names Jamie Bear Killer. Meanwhile, Claire meets the chief's grandmother Adawehi, a healer who predicts that Claire will have great power when her hair is white as snow. She also warns that death is sent by the gods, and it won't be Claire's fault.
Okay, this is a spoiler for me. I'm pretty sure season 7 that came out. I know there's gonna be some type of time jump because I could just see in the picture. I believe her hair is white. So that is so interesting, number one. And number two, the fact that this is season 4 and they're planting that seed now, because that does not come up again at all. So it's really cool that something else happened like that. I guess probably a bunch of things, but I'm so interested in what that means. Also, I don't know if I would regret this, but I wouldn't mind more supernatural stuff. But I don't know what that means when her hair is white as snow. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
A healer who predicts that Claire will have great power when her hair is white as snow. She also warns that death is sent by the gods, and it won't be Claire's fault. The Frasers continue building their home, and Jamie carries Claire over the threshold. Meanwhile, in 1971, Roger discovers Fraser's Ridge in a history book and finds proof that Claire reunited with Jamie. Excited, he shares the news with Brianna, but later, Fiona drops a bombshell. She found an old obituary among her grandmother's papers reporting that Jamie and Claire died in a fire. The date is smudged, so Roger decides to keep it from Brianna, not wanting to break her heart.
That's another thing, the dying in the fire thing, that is looming over us as we watch this, because we'll get there, but I just finished season 5 and there's no talk about the fire. I'm like, guys, do you remember the fire thing? Because Brianna ends up going, we're gonna get into it, going back because of the fire, and they end up like going to leave in season 5. Sorry, jumping ahead, but it's like, you came because of the fire and now we don't know when that's gonna happen, and then you're gonna leave. Well, I guess because she warned them. Anyways.
But when he calls Brianna again, her roommate tells him she's gone to Scotland to visit her mother, and Roger knows exactly what that means. Desperate to track her down, he races to Inverness, but all he finds is a letter she left for him at the bed and breakfast where she had been staying. It turns out she had also discovered that something terrible was going to happen to Claire and Jamie, so she traveled to the past to warn them. In her letter to Roger, she confesses she cares for him, but begs him not to follow her. Meanwhile, Jamie, Claire, and Ian have settled into life at Fraser's Ridge after establishing a fragile peace with the local Native American tribes. It is now 1768, and Jamie needs to recruit settlers, so he and Ian plan to head into town. Before leaving, Jamie asks Claire if Bri has a diamond-shaped birthmark behind her ear, as he saw it in a dream. Overcome with emotion, Claire confirms that the mark is indeed real. Later, Jamie and Ian reach Wallens Creek, but things do not go as planned. Nobody accepts Jamie's offer. It seems they've all lost land to greedy tax collectors before and no longer trust another land deal. After 3 meetings and no settlers to show for it, Jamie and Ian prepare to head home, but their horses' bit breaks, forcing them to visit the blacksmith. That's when Jamie comes face to face with Murtagh once again after many years apart. Murtagh explains that he came to America as an indentured servant and after 12 years, bought the smithy from his master's widow. Jamie tells him that Claire has returned and that their daughter is safe. He also asks Murtagh to come back to the ridge with them, but Murtagh hesitates. Jamie's land grant came from Governor Tryon, while Murtagh is now a leader among the regulators, fighting against corrupt tax collectors. Murtagh wants Jamie to join the cause, but Jamie refuses. He doesn't feel right joining, given that he accepted the governor's land grant. Meanwhile, Claire visits the Muellers, a German family who settled near Fraser's Ridge, to help deliver a baby. Everything goes well until her Mueller has a run-in with the Cherokee, who are gathering water from the stream. Claire intervenes to prevent any bloodshed, but a few days later, she learns that the Mueller mother and baby have died. Her Mueller blames the tragedy on a Cherokee curse. In retaliation, he went to the Cherokee camp and scalped Claire's friend Adawehi, believing she was a witch. The Cherokee took their revenge by burning down the Mueller cabin and killing the rest of the family. When Jamie and Ian return, Claire is desperate for comfort. A few days later, she receives a welcome surprise when Murtaugh shows up at Fraser's Ridge, whistling Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. A few months later, unexpected visitors arrive at Fraser's Ridge. Lord John Grey, who was on business in Virginia, stops by after hearing that Jamie was in America. He brought Willie with him.
Okay, let's talk about Lord John Grey. So thank you guys for telling me about the spin-off novellas of Lord John Grey. I'm getting chills. I really don't understand his character on the show that much. He just comes in and out randomly, which I fully appreciate and love, but I always think he's gonna come back with more of a purpose. I think here he does, but I keep expecting more from him, and like I would love like a little side plot of romance with him. I think that would be a very interesting, different dynamic to the show. I just hope in season 6 and or 7 he like becomes a regular, but the way his character kind of was sent off in season 5, I don't know. I really hope so, but it's seeming like not. I just don't like, he keeps coming back, but for what? And I think I was going to say something else. Oh, I meant to say this too. When I start season 7 reacting with you guys, I'm totally going to start listening to the audiobooks. I usually would never do that. Like once I see like the movie, like I don't care to like read the book. I love this show so much. I love them so much. I want to know them inside out. So I will be listening, and I guess I'll talk about that in my intros while reacting and like keep you guys up to date on what I'm thinking about the books and stuff, and definitely talk about John Gray's spin-off and stuff like that. But let's proceed.
Since his wife Isabel has passed away, Ian's off hunting with the Cherokee, but Murtaugh recognizes John from Ardsmuir and he's not exactly pleased to see him. Over dinner, they argue about tax collectors and regulators.
This was another thing. Sorry, I'm pausing a lot. This is the point, Billy. So like I built up Willie, Jamie's son. They're reuniting. I thought it would be magical. It was very underwhelming because of how he was. I feel like it would have been so cute if he remembered him more. Actually, he does remember him, right? We'll see. But I don't know, like it just didn't work out the way anyone would want.
Lord John suddenly falls ill. Claire believes he caught measles, which is highly contagious to anyone who hasn't been inoculated, like her, so she tells Jamie to keep Willie away for at least 6 days. Jamie takes his son on a tour of Fraser's Ridge, welcoming the chance to get to know him. Willie is a bit of a spoiled brat, but he's got a good heart, and there are flashes of Fraser courage here and there.
He is a spoiled heart.
Meanwhile, Claire nurses John, and after exchanging a few harsh words, they share a moment of deep understanding, each haunted by their own regrets. They talk about Willie and Brianna, and also about Isabel. John is tormented by the knowledge that he was unable to satisfy her the way Jamie satisfies Claire, because he was not the right person for her. A few days go by, and John recovers. He thanks Claire for her help, and she tells him to never lose hope in finding.
Love that their relationship, Claire and John, is really interesting for obvious reasons. So I was happy that he opened up and was real with Claire, and he knows that he'll never be with Jamie, obviously. And I think he even tells her that Jamie offered him his body if he'd watch over Willie, and John declined. And I think that showed his literal character and why Claire is able to kind of move on from this. And she obviously like gets it, like the man has a crush on Jamie, like obviously if you're gay.
Love. Then John and Willie say their goodbyes, and John gives Jamie his chess set as a parting gift. As they leave, Willie can't help but look over his shoulder at Jamie, a sign that he was hoping for a future reunion. When Jamie and Claire are alone at last, he surprises her with a silver ring inscribed with the phrase, "Give me 1,000 kisses," and then he carries her to bed for another night of passion. Let's get back to Brianna. But first, if you're enjoying this recap, please remember to subscribe. That really helps me a lot. Let's get back to Brianna, who made it successfully to the past. But things don't go smoothly for her. She twists her ankle in the freezing Scottish Highlands and collapses. She's discovered by Leary and her daughter Joni, who take her in without knowing her identity. But once Leary realizes Bri is Jamie...
This was pretty brilliant. Of course, this is where she'd end up. Ugh, this was so good. This was one of like the best things about it. And also, there's something a little underwhelming about this whole like travel with Brianna, because I saw this coming the second that Claire came back or even like left with the baby, I'm like, that baby is gonna end up in this way. Like, how is it gonna go down? And I don't know. It just didn't hit me the way I wanted.
Claire's daughter, she goes crazy, locking her in a room and threatening to have her arrested for witchcraft. Fortunately, Bree escapes with Joni's help. They head to Lallybrook, where Bree meets her uncle Ian, who instantly recognizes her as Jamie and Claire's daughter. Ian gives Bree some of Claire's old clothes and money for her journey to America. Before she can purchase her passage, Bree is stopped by a man named Joseph.
And like, why was Jenny not there? That was so annoying. I bet they couldn't get the actress or something, because it's nice that you saw Ian, but we want Jenny to see Brianna. Where is Jenny? I love Jenny. I think she's so interesting. I can't believe that she hasn't made her way herself to America. She should be a regular. She's literally one of my favorite characters of the show.
Who begs her to buy his daughter Lizzie as an indentured servant to save her from being forced into a life as a concubine. Bree agrees, purchasing tickets for both of them. As they leave the dock, Bree thinks she sees Frank watching over her. In fact, she's had many flashbacks of him since she got to the past. It turns out Frank saw the obituary reporting Claire and Jamie's death a few years ago.
That was so cool as well. The fact that Frank knew somehow that she was going to end up back there because he read it. Like, genius.
Always known Claire was going back to Jamie. Meanwhile, in 1971, Roger says goodbye to Fiona and travels through the stones to find Brianna. He quickly seeks passage on the next ship to the Americas, which turns out to be the Gloriana, captained by Stephen Bonnet. Roger, who now goes by the surname Mackenzie, joins the crew with the understanding that he can disembark in Wilmington, but there are 4 other stops before them. Life aboard the ship proves difficult.
Okay, I got it mixed up. When the kid gets pushed off the boat, that's gonna happen now. That didn't happen in season 3. That makes sense. I knew like something wasn't clocking there.
In the middle of the Atlantic, Bonnet throws a sick child overboard to prevent smallpox from spreading, and almost tosses Roger overboard for stealing rations. But at least Roger gets to meet his great-great-something-grandmother, Morag Mackenzie, the wife of Buck Mackenzie, Galis, and Dougal's son. Roger protects Morag and her baby from Bonnet's.
I also missed that. I missed this Buck Mackenzie thing. How were we supposed to know that Buck was Galis and Dougal's son? Can you guys let me know?
Of Buck Mackenzie, Galis.
Because when in, I think it's season 5, when the meeting with Buck, like, I didn't even know that that was their son, because like, why then is he not, I mean, he's not a good person, obviously, but like, why aren't Buck and this girl, like, why didn't they meet up with the Frasers, like their family, right?
And Dougal's son. Roger protects Morag and her baby from Bonnet's cruelty.
Well, he did.
When Roger arrives in Wilmington,
kill the
he tries
father,
to track down Brianna but has no luck. They eventually reunite by chance at a tavern where Bree is looking to buy passage to Cross Creek. Roger pulls her aside for a private chat while Lizzie watches through a window, completely misinterpreting the situation. Bree tells Roger that she loves him, but she kept her plan secret because she feared he'd try to stop her. That's all Roger needs to hear. He plants a passionate kiss on her and soon proposes they get handfasted, the Highlander version of a temporary marriage until they can see a priest. Since this guy literally pursued her 200 years into the past, Bree finds it impossible to say no. After a brief but heartfelt ceremony, they have their wedding night. The shed may not be the most romantic setting, but the moment is tender and beautiful. Unfortunately, the bliss is short-lived. Bree becomes furious when she learns that Roger knew about the obituary and kept it from her. He explains that he didn't want to break her heart, but Bree accuses him of manipulating her into marriage. In turn, Roger grows angry, suggesting he should return to the future. Bree agrees, and Roger storms off. Meanwhile, Jamie and Claire are in
that was what? Didn't like that.
Town, having been summoned by Governor Tryon to attend a play. In the theater, they meet Edmund Fanning, Tryon's right-hand man, sporting a nasty hernia, and also encounter George and Martha Washington. During the play, Tryon tells Jamie that he has a spy among the regulators and knows they're planning to rob a carriage holding tax money. A group of redcoats is waiting for them to strike so they can arrest them, hopefully catching their leader, Murtaugh Fitzgibbons. Realizing he must warn Murtaugh about the trap, Jamie elbows Fanning on purpose, causing him to double over in pain. Claire leaps into action, performing an impromptu surgery in the theater lobby. Taking advantage of the distraction, Jamie sends a message to Murtaugh via Fergus and returns to the theater before anyone notices his absence. Cut to Bree, who arrives at the tavern, still reeling from her breakup with Roger. Stephen Bonnet is there, playing cards with some other men, and Brianna watches as he places a bet using Claire's wedding ring. Recognizing it immediately, Bree offers to buy the ring. Bonnet pulls her into a side room under the pretense of negotiating a price, but instead he assaults her. Despite the tavern being full and her screams clearly audible, nobody comes to help. When Bonnet is finished, a traumatized Brianna clutches her mother's ring and retreats upstairs to her room. Lizzie looks after her and can't help but notice bruises on her back and blood on her petticoat. Bree won't say much, so Lizzie figures Roger must have assaulted her. The next
Oh, you know what I thought too? I guess this is just my gay ass brain. Totally thought like Lizzie was gonna have a crush on Bree, and made me feel like, is Bree gonna be a lesbian? Is Roger really gonna go home? Or is Roger gonna find someone else here to be in love? I think I would have liked that more, because I don't know. I just think I don't see the passion between Roger and Bree the way it is with Claire and Jamie, which I understand is like basically impossible to do, but that's what I want. I do like them a lot together and stuff, but they do have also like so much trauma and like what's gonna happen that really messes with their love being so pure. Wouldn't that be Loki really interesting? Probably not.
So Lizzie figures Roger must have
guys,
assaulted her. The next morning, Roger shows up at the tavern looking for Bree, but he runs into Bonnet instead. He threatens Roger, basically forcing him to stick with his crew until they get to Philadelphia, or he won't get paid. Roger has the tavern owner tell Bree that he had to leave, which breaks her heart, making her think he's gone back to his own time. Then Lizzie brings some surprising news. Jamie Fraser has been spotted nearby. Bree runs off to find him, and in a hilarious moment, she spots him right while he's relieving himself. At first, Jamie...
Okay. Yes, in a hilarious moment, I guess. But this is the moment we've been waiting for. Like, I knew that this was going to happen. Not literally, but like, of course it was going to happen where she came here and they were able to meet. For me, this was really underwhelming. And even when she then sees Claire, I want sobbing, like I want emotion, like I want over the moon excitement. Like, it just felt very, oh, hey, I'm here. It just fell flat to me, and it's kind of really disappointing. Maybe I would feel different on a second watch because the anticipation like won't be so high, but this didn't hit. Like, I expected this to hit the way when Claire comes back after 20 years, and it just doesn't. But like, let's see.
Thinks she's hitting on him, but as soon as she tells him she's his daughter, we get the emotional reunion we've all been waiting for. They share a heartfelt embrace and then head off to find Claire, who's absolutely stunned to see her daughter. There's hugs and tears all around. Bree tells her parents about the obituary, and soon after she meets her cousin Ian. The whole group then hops on a boat and heads to Fraser's Ridge. During the journey, Bree tells Claire that Roger came through the stones to find her, but then decided to leave.
In that moment, I thought Lizzie was gonna end up like liking Ian. I get it's a show and we don't have time, but I'm also maybe assuming in the back of my mind more happens in the books, and that's why I gotta go. Like, I feel like I can tell they like want to give this detail of the book, but then they don't have the time to go through with it. Also, I want to say that season 4, from what I looked into or you guys told me, is where they really start to kind of change from the book and such. But yeah.
And later, Ian drops the bomb that a man called Stephen Bonnet once robbed them of everything, even snatching one of Claire's wedding rings. That's when Bree pieces it together, realizing this was the same man who assaulted her. Once they arrive at Fraser's Ridge, Bree meets Murtaugh, who's in hiding from Governor Tryon. Then she gets some quality one-on-one time with Jamie. He shows her the land, goes hunting with her, and teaches her a bit of Gaelic. Jamie is so taken with his daughter that he doesn't want her to ever go back to her own time. Bree, for her part, understands why Claire needed to find Jamie after all these years, now that she's had a chance to see her parents together. A few weeks later, Claire discovers that Bree is pregnant. That's when Bree finally reveals the painful truth about the assault, though she initially held back on naming the culprit. By the time Claire puts 2 and 2 together, it's too late. Roger shows up at Fraser's Ridge after weeks of working for Bonnet. Lizzie spots him first and identifies him as the man who hurt Bree.
The craziest part of this season, like, holy shit.
And determined, Jamie confronts Roger and beats him unconscious without a word. Then Ian rides off with Roger's limp body, planning to sell him to the Indians. Honestly, it's just one unbelievable mess. A few weeks pass and no one is aware of Lizzie's and Jamie's mistake. Bree remains deeply traumatized by Bonnet's assault, believing it could have been avoided if she hadn't followed him into a side.
I love Roger. Like, I was rooting for Roger from the second, where like Brianna, it's like, okay, girl, he came and traveled for you. This is a lot. This is crazy that all this is happening. Like, the fact that she would get mad at him for not like saying anything. Like, this is a lot for him to process too.
Or if she had fought back harder. Jamie assures her that it wasn't her fault and that there was no way she could have fought off Bonnet. He also warns her that seeking revenge won't erase the pain, drawing on his own experience with Black Jack Randall. Bree decides to keep the baby and settle into life on Fraser's Ridge. Jamie suggests she could marry Ian, who seems to have a small crush on her, but Bree isn't having it, both because they're first cousins and because she hasn't been able to forget Roger. Then the whole truth comes out, and there's a huge shouting match. Bree is furious. Lizzie is in tears. Jamie is stunned, not only because he punished the wrong man,
but... That was the other thing. Why are you furious? He didn't know. I didn't like when she hit Jamie. Like, he didn't know, and he was doing it to protect you. He thought it was Bonnet, because you didn't talk about it. Like, I was like, what the fuck is... I was just very disappointed in this. Did it happen
also because the real culprit was Stephen Bonnet, the man he helped set free. Ian is apologetic, confessing that he sold Roger to the Mohawk. And Claire can't believe the mess that has unfolded.
She hits Jamie them both. I'm like, don't hit my boy Ian and do not hit Jamie. That sat with me so bad because they had no idea. They literally had no idea. If you're gonna slap, and no, I was gonna say slap Lizzie, but no, she saw what she saw. That annoyed me so much, but I was just like, okay, let's keep it moving.
Track down Roger and is willing to trade
And it
everything he has to get
annoyed
him back.
me
Ian and Claire will join him on the
because
rescue
I
mission, while Murtaugh is sent to
want
find
be
Bonnet on Jamie's
obsessed with
secret orders.
her.
Before they all set off, Bree sketches a portrait of Roger to help in the search, and Claire arranges for her to be cared for at River Run, since her pregnancy makes the journey too risky. As Bree arrives at River Run with Murtaugh and Lizzie, the scene cuts to a battered, bleeding Roger being hauled through the forest by a group of Mohawk. He dreams of escaping and even stumbles upon a standing stone in the middle of the forest, pondering for a few seconds whether he should return to the...
This is so interesting, number one, like that there's other stones than Scotland. That this is the first time you see it in America, which is so cool. And I also just love his journey because this guy is not a warrior. He's a teacher, smooth hand man. So seeing him go through this, you're just so emotionally invested in him and rooting so hard for him, where you don't get that with Brianna. I'm so curious how Brianna's written in the books.
Future. In the end, he decides to stay, hoping that this will give him a chance to reunite with Bree. This is a decision he might end up regretting. When he finally reaches the Mohawks village in New York, things go from bad to worse. He's brutalized once again, and the rescue party, Jamie, Claire, and Ian, is still 2 months away. Back at River Run, Bree is doing her best to adjust. She's worried sick about Roger and still angry with Jamie. Meanwhile, Jocasta is determined to get Bree married as soon as possible, so she throws a fancy dinner party to introduce Bree to a lineup of prospective suitors: Gerald Forbes, Lieutenant Wolfe, Judge Alderdice, and the guest of honor, Lord John Grey, who introduces himself as a friend of her parents. In fact, Jamie asked him to come to River Run to check on Bree. Brianna is very honest with John. She tells him about Roger, the hand fasting, and the Mohawk. She's worried Roger won't accept her baby if he comes back, because it might not be his. John tells Bree about William, explaining that love isn't just about blood, it's something deeper. When Jocasta gets a bit intense about the...
Okay, so when I saw John, I was like, oh my god, they're totally gonna get married and this is what's gonna make John in the show more. I'm happy that didn't work out, but also it's surprising that this reactor didn't mention... Actually, it's not surprising. Brianna sees John having sex with one of the helper guys in Jessica, I don't even know how to say her name, in the room. The reason why Princess plotline didn't say anything is because it never has no relevance to the story. John never knows that she saw him, and like that sucks because they didn't have a moment then for Brianna to be like, no, but like I accept you, like that doesn't matter to me. They just used that for Brianna to feel comfortable to marry him because he's gay instead of, did she tell him? I don't really know, but it just, that also just, I don't know.
Whole marriage thing, and it looks like Mr. Forbes might propose. Lord John agrees to pretend he's engaged to Bree, helped along by a touch of blackmail from Brianna, though John is surprisingly forgiving about it. Cut to Wilmington, where Murtaugh is staying at Fergus and Marsley's...
I guess she did. She blackmailed him. I don't know.
Place and holding regulator meetings in the back room. Fergus has been having a tough time finding work, since no one wants to hire a one-handed man. Hoping to boost her husband's confidence, Marsley convinces Murtaugh to invite Fergus to join the regulators. However, Fergus declines, saying his place is at home with Marsley and their baby. Then Marsley discovers that Bonnet's ship has been spotted in port. Fergus and Murtaugh rush to the tavern, manage to corner Bonnet in a room, and knock him out. The next morning, when they're preparing to transport an unconscious Bonnet, 2 soldiers intercept them. Murtaugh sends Fergus home and surrenders, turning in Bonnet, an escaped murderer who evaded the gallows. Unfortunately, Murtaugh is also recognized as the leader of the regulators and arrested. Meanwhile, Roger's been forced to work for the Mohawk while nursing a hurt arm. He's stuck in a prison hut with a priest who's got one hell of a tragic story. He came to the Mohawk village to spread his faith, fell in love with a local woman, and fathered a child with her. Although the tribe welcomed their union, they expected him to baptize the baby. Feeling unworthy for having broken his vows, he refused. The Mohawk brutally tortured him and gave him an ultimatum: baptize the child or be burned alive. And the priest still refused. While all this drama unfolds, Roger starts digging a tunnel in the side of the hut, planning his escape. Just as he finishes and is about to bolt, he hears the priest's agonized screams and decides to turn back. Roger tosses some whiskey into the flames to speed up the priest's end. Tragically, the Mohawk woman who had given birth to the priest's child chooses to join her lover, and everyone watches in horror.
I also didn't understand that. Let's see.
As she burns. Back in Wilmington,
I did not understand that. They made it like that was such an emotional, touching thing that she walked into the fire and died with him. You left your newborn baby with these fucking lunatics for you to be with your man dead. She cared about him more than her baby. That's not what he wanted you to do. Like, he probably wanted you to raise the kid. It's weird. That was weird.
Busy plotting a jailbreak to free Murtaugh, with Marsley totally behind his plan. To avoid any
Never ever for a second thought I would like Marsley. She becomes bigger in the next season, so I don't know where my mind was at with her. From the beginning to now, like I couldn't have imagined that.
A lot later on, they agree to take up Jamie's offer to move to Fraser's Ridge. Then over at River Run, Lord John tells Bree that Bonnet has been captured and is set to hang in a week. Bree insists on seeing him one last time. She wants to forgive him so she can start healing from the trauma of his assault. Lord John arranges a special permit for her, and they head off to Wilmington. Inside the prison, Bree tells Bonnet that Jamie and Claire are her parents. She also reveals that she's pregnant and hints that the baby might be his, though the child will never know he existed. In a surprising turn, Bonnet hands Bree a gemstone to help with the baby's upkeep. And then, absolute chaos. Fergus and the regulators storm the prison to free Murtagh. Lord John and Bree barely escape before the whole place blows up, with Bonnet trapped inside, though there's a slim chance he managed to get away. Meanwhile, Marcelly tucks Murtagh and Fergus into her
I don't know how the heck he got out of that, but I didn't believe for a second that he died there.
Wagon and rides off. A few weeks later, Jamie, Claire, and Ian finally reach the Mohawk village. Ian shows the Mohawk Breeze drawing of Roger and offers up anything they have in exchange for him. It seems a deal might be struck until the Mohawk notice Claire's necklace, which holds the stone she discovered in the skull near Fraser's Ridge. The tribe instantly identifies it as Ottertooth Stone and believes it to be cursed. Without a word, the Mohawk boot them out. Not one to give up easily, Jamie plans to return under the cover of darkness to rescue Roger. But before he can act, a group of dissident Mohawks surrounds them. They demand the stone, believing it has the power to predict the future. They explain that its owner, Ottertooth, who was clearly a time traveler, arrived at the village out of nowhere and warned them that if they didn't start killing white men, the Mohawk would vanish. His predictions were so unwelcome that the tribe ended up killing him. Jamie agrees to hand over the stone on the condition that the Mohawk help rescue Roger. They agree, and with their assistance, Jamie and Claire manage to reach Roger, only to be discovered and captured. The next day, the Mohawk chief tells them they can leave, but without Roger. In a moment of desperation, Jamie offers to stay in place of Roger, but ultimately, it's Ian who sacrifices himself so that Roger can be set free. After a tearful good-
I fully love Ian so much for doing that. That really sucked, but it made the most sense, and I just remember thinking, what are we gonna do? And I also didn't want to continue the storyline after this season. Like, I didn't want the next season to be, how are we gonna get Jamie out of this thing? So the fact that it was Ian, we were able to just completely move on. So that was great.
During which Ian makes Jamie promise not to try to rescue him later. Ian and Rollo stay behind. Fortunately, Ian adapts to the Mohawk initiation ritual far better than Roger did, earning himself a place among the tribe.
Yes,
once a safe distance from the village, Roger vents his trauma by landing a solid punch on Jamie. Soon after, Jamie and Claire reveal the brutal truth about Brianna's assault and pregnancy. Now, Roger must decide whether he can bear to go back to Brianna, knowing the baby might be Bonnet's, or if he wants to return to his own time. Over in River Run, Murtagh and Jocasta are growing increasingly close, and Brianna eventually gives birth to a baby boy. 2 months later, Jamie and Claire return, without Roger. Brianna is shattered, but her misery is short-lived. A few weeks later, Roger shows up at River Run, declaring his love and his desire to meet his son.
That was insane. That I wasn't sure which way they were going. Like, I figured, I guess, that he was gonna come back at some point, but I thought that would have been another season thing. This was great.
And just when you think things might finally settle down, a group of redcoats rides in with a letter from Governor Tryon. He orders Jamie to muster and lead a militia against the regulators, with his very first mission being to hunt down the fugitive Murtagh Fitzgibbons. And that's it for Outlander Season 4. Please stay tuned for more Outlander recaps, and remember to subscribe for more great content.
Subscribe. Alright guys, that was it for Season 4. I said like a lot of things that I guess that like bothered me this season, but I thought it was such a good season, especially compared to 5. Like 5 has really good moments too, but that was just such a packed jam season. Getting adapted to like the new world. I guess it's like you either like it or you don't. Even Brianna, I know there's people that are annoyed by Brianna's actions and stuff. So yes, the build up to her was good, but when it's not like goes down the way you expected it or wanted it to, I guess that's where it left people like not like loving the season. I think it's because just there was a lot of frustration this season, but so much went down. Like I think season 2 is my least favorite, even though there's such amazing parts. There's probably better parts in season 2 than in 4, maybe, but overall I was so invested in season 4 compared to 2, even though we know season 3 was like my favorite, and there's so much build up from 2 to that goes into 3, which was just amazing. The show was amazing. I am loving it. Season 5 was definitely a bit of a slow burn, but like I could just sit with them and feel home. So yeah, I hope you guys like this recap. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you're here, and I can't wait to recap 5 and 6 and then jump in fully with you guys for 7. It's going to be quite a ride. All right, until next time, it's Billy Bitch.